welcome to Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Weldin. Today's story is called Critter in the Closet, an adaptation of a La Fontaine fable written for you by Daniel Hinds. Thanks! Enjoy the episode! Critter in the Closet. Once upon a time, a little raccoon named Ralphy was hungry. His stomach was rumbling, grumbling, and his whiskers were itching, twitching. Oh, sure, it was early autumn, and the ground was littered with new acorns and old apples and leaves and worms and bugs and all the other stuff regular raccoons like to eat. But the problem was that Ralphie wasn't a regular raccoon, and he thought apples and acorns and leaves and worms and bugs were gross. "How are you eating that?" he'd shout at his friends who slurped slugs like spaghetti. "It's still wriggling. And look at you! Is that just a pile of acorns? What are you, a squirrel? Have some dignity!" You see, Ralphie had grown up in a dumpster near a school, and his favorite foods were snack cakes and old cereal and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and pizza crusts and all the other divinely delicious delectables that the kids had half-eaten and then thrown away. Unfortunately, his school was on a break this fall, and for the first time since Ralphie could remember, the dumpster was as dry and empty as a licked-clean pizza box. "Ugh!" he shouted, his voice echoing in the all-too-empty dumpster. "I refuse to eat old apples like some kind of pretty pony. I'll find real food no matter what I have to do." He looked up at the sky and shook his little fist. "No matter what!" That same night, Ralphie left the dumpster by the school and headed for the nearest neighborhood. It was a long walk, and he had to be careful creeping by cruising cars and cunning cats. Finally, though, he caught a smell on the wind. He leaned on his back legs, clutching his tail in excitement. "What's that? I smell some chocolate on a wrapper, maybe. Yes, a cup'em cake and a cinnamon pupper tart, real food." He started sprinting towards the source of the smell, a homely little house on the horizon. "So long, acorns and crickets. See you later, worms. The early birds can have ya. I'm gonna get that good junk in my trunk." Ralphie approached the little house and sniffed around at its edges. The good snacks were inside. He could smell them. But first, he had to find a way in. After a couple careful loops, he spotted a little vent in the side of the foundation, down near the dirt. When he stood near it, the smell was so good he started drooling. His clever paws had it open in no time, and then he was in the walls. "I smell it. I smell peanut butter and jelly jam and cup'em cakes and pupper tarts and fudge'ems and oh!" On the inner side of the wall, he found a small hole around another old vent. It was a bit of a tight fit, but with a little smooshing and squeezing, Ralphie pushed through. And he landed in heaven. It was a snack closet, a big pantry, really. There were shelves up to the ceiling, each one heavy with delicious delectables. He saw cup'em cakes and pupper tarts, crunchy bites and nutter bits, sweeties and salties and snackies, and Ralphie found himself breathing very heavily. "Sweet Georgia Brown," he said. "Finally, a proper breakfast." He launched into the packaging, ripping cardboard and shredding plastic and eating, pausing only here and there to lick clean his paws and wipe his whiskers. It was the best meal he had ever had, at least until the door swung open and it was oh so rudely interrupted. "I'm grabbing a snack, Ethel. You wanna... Hey! It was an old man, with drooping pants and a drooping belly and a drooping mustache. Ethel, we got a ding-darn critter in the closet. Get out, you varmint! You pig! You no-good belly bandit! He kept yelling, but Ralphie darted for the floor and pushed his way back into the vent, panting and afraid. He paused inside the walls for a minute to listen. "What's wrong, Otto?" said a woman. "Look at this mess. Did you eat all these snacks?" "Me? No, I told you. There was a ding-darn critter in the closet." "Oh, sure. A critter." "It was a critter." "Okay, Otto. I'm sure it was." "It was!" The voices moved away, and Ralphie breathed a sigh of relief. He thought about going back outside to sleep, but it was warm in the wall, and there was plenty of space. He scratched himself up a bed of fluffy new insulation and was soon snoring soundly. The next morning, he woke up to a belly that was rumbling and grumbling and the sense of sweets in his snoot. "Smells like breakfast," he said to himself, wiggling his whiskers. "Just careful quiet, in and out." He moved along the wall and found the vent fan again. It seemed like even more of a squeeze than last time, but with some wobbling and wiggling, he plopped his way through. He really did mean to just be quick in and out so he wouldn't get caught again, but at the sight and smell of all the cup'em cakes and pupper tarts, crunchy bites and nutter bits, sweeties and salties and snackies, he knew he couldn't be too quick. I can smell the cup'em cakes all in their chocolate coats. I've been dreaming of jelly lakes and peanut butter boats. Pupper tarts have been so far with apple frosting bright. Now I smell a Halloween candy bar, gonna take a crunchy bite. I've got a rumbly belly and nothing else will do. Now here's snacky sweet for me to eat. I think I'll have a few. Acorns aren't the answer, I don't care for seasonal gourds. All my friends love bugs and slugs and other things that I abhor. I love cake, cookies, pizza crust, candy bars with nougat center. It's been ages since I've seen 'em, here they are in all their splendor. I've got a rumbly belly and nothing else will do. Here's snacky sweet for me to eat. I think I'll have a few. Yes, I think I'll have a few. And then the door swung open. "What in the wide, wide world of sports is this?" the old man shouted. "Ethel, there's a ding-darn critter in the closet again." "Okay, Otto." "I mean it. He's eaten all my pupper tarts." "Okay, sure he is, Otto." The old man tried to grab Ralphie, but the raccoon had already started running. With a grunt and a groan and a grumble, he pushed through the vent and back into the wall, the old man's yells chasing him all the way. Finally, belly bulging and breath bellowing, he fell back into his little nest in the insulation. "A good breakfast," he said to himself, wiggling back into his bunker bed. "I could do without all the yelling, though." Ralphie was soon snoring sweetly, his little paws twitching at the air like leaves rustling in the breeze. The next morning, he was woken up by the sound of his own stomach rumbling. More than rumbling, it was rippling, roaring, like a sack full of bears in an earthquake. "Ho, ho, ho!" he said to himself, roly-polying to his feet. "Someone is singing their breakfast song." He slapped his plump tummy. "Let's go and get ourselves a little bite to eat. Maybe 2 bites. Maybe we'll just start chewing and see where it leads us." Ralphie wound through the wall, feeling like it was a little tighter today than it had been before. And once he got to the hole in the vent, he found he could barely fit through. It took a lot of jostling and jamming and jiggling, but finally, with a rotund ripple, he fell onto the closet floor. "Extra tight today," he said, rubbing smooth his soft gray fur. "Now, just a quick bite before the old man comes." This time, he really, truly, honestly, really meant to be just quick in and out so he wouldn't get caught again. But at the sight and smell of all the cup'em cakes and pupper tarts, crunchy bites and nutter bits, sweeties and salties and snackies, he just lost it. Ralphie ripped into packaging like a kid opening birthday presents, shredding and spreading, sniffing and snarfing until his little belly was bulging and his coat was covered in crumbs. And then, of course, the door swung open. "Oh, it's that ding-darn critter again, Ethel!" Otto shouted, his mustache quivering. "I told you he'd be back. He ate up all my sweets and he's as fat as a Thanksgiving turkey and twice as stuffed." "Otto, just eat the snacks if you want the snacks," Ethel shouted back. "I'm tired of you blaming some imaginary critter." "Imaginary nothing," Otto said. "Get over here, you vermint!" Ralphie bolted for the hole again, his belly bulging, and he wedged himself into the vent. He grunted and grumbled and groaned and pushed with his feet and pulled with his paws, and then, finally, he was stuck. His head was in the wall, his rear was in the closet, and his newly big belly was wedged firmly in the vent. "Ah, the ding-darn critter, Ethel! Come and look!" There was a sigh and a rustle of papers, and then Ralphie heard the creak of the closet door again. "Now do you believe me?" Ethel started laughing. "Oh, I believe you, Otto. Just look at that fluffy bum." Ralphie kicked his paws in the air and tried to wriggle free again, but he wasn't going anywhere. "Oh, the poor baby's stuck." "Oh, poor baby," said Otto. "He's only stuck on account of he ate all my best snacks." "Oh, Otto, you have plenty to share." "To share, Ethel," agreed Otto. "With you and my friends, not some ding-darn critter, not some tubby little thief." Ralphie listened closely, wondering what they were going to do with him. He had terrible visions of being turned into stew or maybe even an extra-large hat. But, lucky for the raccoon, despite all his grumbling, Otto was an animal lover at heart. Ethel got out an old cat carrier from the attic, and Otto got some cooking lard and rubbed it onto Ralphie's sides. The rotund raccoon was distracted by the delicious smell for a moment, and then, with a single slippery heave and a greased-up plorp, Otto pulled him free of the vent. He held Ralphie up by the scruff, and they looked at each other, eye to eye. "Well, I guess you're pretty cute," Otto said begrudgingly, "for a ding-darn critter." Ralphie gave his best smile, showing off his crumb-covered coat and chocolate-matted mouth. Otto smiled back and started laughing, and Ralphie knew that everything would be okay. A few nights later, after Ethel brought the raccoon back to the woods and let him go, old Otto was taking out the trash. He put the hefty bag in the can and then looked around slowly. "All right, it's okay. You can come out. It's just me." A round shape slipped out of the darkness, eyes flashing gold, tail banded black and gray. "There you are, you ding-darn critter," Otto said with a smile. "Some good trash in there tonight. And would you look at that?" The old man dropped a few cup'em cakes and pupper tarts into the bin, still whole and wrapped. "Clumsy me." "Otto, where are ya?" "Comin', honey," he called, and then turned, whistling a little tune as he walked back into the house. Ralphie watched him go, thankful for his new friend, and ready for his breakfast. The end. Thanks for listening.